Donald Trump's whole thing was that he was going to make America great, that he was going to fix egg prices on day one. He was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one. He was going to make America prosperous. He was going to take us back to a time when everything was wonderful and rosy and we were all wealthy and we all had a good quality of life, right? This kind of vision of America that has never been for anybody. That's what Donald Trump tried to sell all of his MAGA base. Of course, what Donald Trump meant was the age of robber barons, the Gilded Age, right? He wanted to make America great for him and his cronies. He wanted to avoid going to prison. Elon Musk wanted to avoid going to prison. Wealthy billionaires, corporations, CEOs, they wanted to be free to exploit their workers, to pollute the environment, to grift, to get government contracts, to play quid pro quo. What they want, and they have right now, is a regime that is steeped in corruption, where the rich are living in extravagant luxury, where the regime is rubbing it in your face that they are taking your tax money and spending it lavishly on themselves while you suffer, while they hold back SNAP benefits from 12% of the American population, where RFK Jr. has decided that we don't need to do cancer screenings and that our veterans should not be able to get the COVID shot, where necessary federal employees have all been fired. The National Weather Service has been gutted. The Forest Service has been gutted. FEMA is being completely dismantled because you know what? We sure shouldn't use our taxpayer dollars to care for Americans when they are trying to recover from natural disasters. No, no, no. Donald Trump wants all of that money for himself. After all, he's already spent $60 million of our taxpayer money so far this year golfing. This weekend, while 42 million Americans are worried about how they are going to feed themselves since Republicans have decided to voluntarily shut off funding to SNAP, refusing to access funds to use to pay for SNAP. Now, granted, 2 judges have said they better fucking release that money, so we'll see what comes of that. While that's going on, while Americans are suffering, things are getting worse for us. We have more and more people laid off. Our food is more expensive. Our quality of life is down the toilet. People are going hungry. Donald Trump spent $3 million golfing. You know what else he spent more than $3 million on? You're worried about how to feed your family, and Donald Trump spent millions on a lavish, Great Gatsby-themed Roaring Twenties gala. He doesn't give 2 shits about you. He has no intention of making America great for you. He never did. He lied to American working class people. He lied to conservative, blue-collar voters all over this country who have been struggling really hard, right? They have been abandoned by establishment Democrats who said, no, 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 America's great. You're prosperous. And Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden and establishment Democrats were like, yeah, the economy is doing great. Look, we have 2.5 umbrellas per capita. This guy on the left, this is what a lot of working class Americans experienced. Felt abandoned, betrayed, lied to by establishment corporate Democrats. There were all kinds of voters. I know I keep driving it home, but there is this More Perfect Union piece on West Virginia voters. Y'all should go watch it because they are generations long. Pro-union Democratic voters, and a lot of them voted for Donald Trump because they felt abandoned by corporate establishment Democrats who take dark money, take APAC money, take corporate money. And here was Donald Trump saying, I'm going to make America great for you. I know that you're struggling. I know the coal industry is fading. And I understand that y'all feel that the American dream is further and further away from you. You're worried about what's going to happen to your children. I'm going to make it all better. I'm going to sweep in here and fix it. And they were seduced by that. I know it's very easy to just say it was all racism. It wasn't all racism, y'all. Donald Trump knew how to manipulate people. Fascists know how to scapegoat really well, right? They know how to pander to people's racism and misogyny, their fear of immigrants, to stoke those, to inflame those. But at the core of it, I know people don't want to hear it. At the core of it, so many people voted for Donald Trump because they really believed he was going to make America great for them. They really believed that their days of suffering were going to come to an end, that they were going to be prosperous yet again. And they were lied to, just like everybody in this country. You and I didn't believe the lies of Donald Trump, but a lot of people did. And now, as we are all struggling mightily, as the government has shut down, as people are losing access to their health benefits, their SNAP benefits, people can't afford to pay rent, utility costs are going up and up. People are starting to realize Donald Trump had no interest in making America great for you. He only wanted to make America great for himself. He only wanted to grift off of America. And I think when we see things like Donald Trump and his redoing of the Lincoln bathroom to be this disgusting, gilded, marble, opulent monstrosity, when we see Donald Trump tearing down the East Wing, when we see Donald Trump spending $60 million of our money golfing, a lot of money, by the way, he pays to his own golf club. So it's really a grift, right? Because he's taking our taxpayer money and he is paying his own golf club with our money for him to go golfing. Just, that's a good grift, Trump. That's a good grift. So this past weekend, when Donald Trump was doing this, what were you doing? What were you doing this weekend? Especially Trump voters. I want to know how you feel about that. Does that feel like greatness for you? They're rubbing it in our faces, y'all. This is very intentional. This is Trump saying, I can do whatever I want with your taxpayer money and you can't stop me. I can watch you suffer. I can make you suffer. And I can take your tax money and I can live in extreme wealth. Me and my buddies, all of us rich fat cats, we can do whatever we want. We can flaunt our wealth, our opulence, and we can flaunt the fact that we are taking your money so that we live this kind of lavish lifestyle while you struggle. Narcissists love to make people pay. They love to get revenge. And I think we would all be very foolish to not understand that a lot of what Trump does is an attempt to get revenge for him not winning the election in 2020 and for being prosecuted and convicted of 34 felonies. Donald Trump would be sitting, rotting in a prison cell if Merrick Garland hadn't been a little pansy ass, timid little, okay, I'm not gonna go there. If we had elected officials who actively cared about pursuing justice aggressively, we would not be in this position today. But they didn't, and yet still Donald Trump has narcissistic injury over that. And also, like, authoritarians in general, fascists in general, they want you to feel the pain of what they're doing. They are flaunting their power. They're saying, we can get away with this. We deserve to live like this, and you deserve to not be able to feed your family. We can go golfing on your dime while you can't make rent. We can have great Gatsby-themed parties while you can't feed your children. Kid and I were talking about this and watching the clips of the Gatsby-themed party, and she said, "Great Gatsby doesn't Trump, like, don't the fascists realize that Gatsby represents the hubris of a man chasing an unattainable goal?" And she's like, "Well, it does kind of make sense because Daisy and her husband were always able to retreat into their wealth when things got hard." And I sort of think that's what's happening now with Donald Trump's approval rating at an all-time low. The numbers for Democrats going into the midterms are really good, which is why they are trying desperately to gerrymander and suppress the vote and trying to disenfranchise as many voters as they possibly can because they know shit doesn't look too good for them. But I definitely think some of what is happening now is that Donald Trump is trying to retreat into his wealth, into our wealth. It's our wealth. They're trying to retreat into the grift and to pretend that things are not falling apart for them, and also rub it in our faces that they can do that. They think they're going to be insulated from the consequences of their actions by our taxpayer dollars. And yeah, I think there are plenty of overlaps here between 1920s America. There's a lot of overlaps between the Gilded Age in America. There's also a lot of overlaps between the kind of partying and decadence and lavishness that we saw toward the end of the Third Reich. It's like, we got to hurry up and live it up because these days are numbered. They're going to come to an end. Whether that's what they're really aware of or whether they're engaging in some self-denial. It's actually hard for me to understand how much reasoning Donald Trump has at this point versus how much cognitive impairment. But the people around him, they're definitely trying to keep him pacified, keep him occupied with this kind of disgustingly over-the-top lavish entertainment. It is kind of giving let them eat cake. It is giving any monarchy on the tipping point where the people have just absolutely fucking had it. And I know that we don't actually need MAGA to leave MAGA in order for us to stop the fascists, but boy, I just wish so many people who voted for Trump because they believed the lie of he'll make America great again. Like, when are they going to see how much suffering, how much goalpost moving are they going to do? How much confirmation bias are they going to have? How much more of our taxpayer money does Donald Trump have to spend on golfing, remodeling bathrooms, and lavish parties while we can't make rent and we can't feed our kids?